Hello, everybody. Here is your Dr. Puppet once again, and we're coming back with the Puppet Dojo series. It's a podcast where I talk with people around the gaming industry, esports industry, what they do, what they did, what they are doing, and obviously, so you can get to know them, the people behind the scenes that do amazing work, and you rarely get to see. Before I introduce our guests, let me introduce myself real quick. I'm Alex, Brazilian guy living in Berlin, Germany. I work for around already like 5 to 6 years in esports. I used to coach League of Legends on a professional basis. Now I do films and photo for a living, and I'm a freelancer photographer and filmmaker, and a creative director. I do many things in esports, but also outside of esports. So today, and this is very special for me, and that's why I'm happy that this is my first podcast in Berlin, the first podcast in a while. I get to talk with one of my oldest esports friends. Like, this guy, I met him so many years ago when I first moved to Hamburg. So I'm glad to have you here, my friends. Here, this is Sebastian Spagnolo, also known as LordSP. How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, Puppet. Thank you. Thank you for the invite. And yeah, it's been 5 years. Can you believe that?
It's amazing, man. Oh man, like just to imagine how many things we went through together, and it all started with a random shout out on Twitter. It's amazing. I remember to this very day, like, hey, are you this one guy that coached Calcetting gamers at the Wild Card, and you are in Hamburg? Yes, I just moved here a week ago, so let's grab a beer. I'm in Hamburg. Oh, what? So I was like, literally, what the fuck is happening? I just moved to the city to study film, and who the hell does know what I did in esports? Because I was coaching this team in Chile, not in Germany. So it's not that I could really expect that people actually know what I was doing. But there was this guy, and he asked me to go with him for a beer. And, you know, since then, 5 years of a beautiful friendship and many other crazy things that happened. And, you know, like, it's very funny to think about it, because, like, I remember this night you were telling me what you do, that you work for Nitrado, you were handling, like, the Spanish customer service, if I recall correctly, and helping them with translations and communication. Then I remember today you got your job at Twitch. I remember that very well, and how happy you were, how much you worked for it.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Then we had like this amazing about 2 years that you worked with Twitch, and you did many great things. And now you are doing exactly what? Obviously, like, where are you? What are you doing? And just give us a little rundown about what you have been doing in this past couple of months.
Yeah, so like everyone in the world, I've been in quarantine. But thankfully, I'm still in the gaming industry. I'm working as the partnerships manager at streamelements. You know, you probably know streamelements from, you know, all the streamer tools for alerts and stuff.
Yeah.
But we're also doing now sponsor campaigns, which it's a business that has grown a lot in the last couple of months, because, you know, when all places for advertisers go away, you know, like no billboards, no films, no TV, everything went online. So yeah, we've been doing a lot of campaigns with streamers and other kind of content creators like YouTubers, which has, you know, I've been working a lot the last couple of months. But yeah, I'm basically doing that. And as a side project, I'm also helping, because I'm in Argentina now, like stuck in the quarantine. I started working with a team from Argentina called 9C. Yeah, it's an esports team owned by a well-known content creator called Frank Caster. And yeah, in a very short time, like, it's actually, team is turning 2 years old tomorrow.
Damn.
And yeah, we already have like 3 top-tier sponsors. We have a very good CSGO team, a very good League of Legends team, and also, you know, players in Rainbow Six and Fortnite. We're doing quite well.
Nice.
And yeah, those are my 2 things. You know, like my passion project, which is 9C, and the thing that makes ends meet, which is Stream Elements.
Which is actually a very, very healthy and fun mix, I would say, because I remember at the time we met, right? You were still doing something completely different. Obviously, you had your job, but you also were studying at this point. You're still studying, actually. You're finishing your degree, and you were doing something completely different. And then you did partnerships mostly for Twitch, and you were basically like the Spanish country manager, if I recall correctly. And so you went from doing something completely different than esports, from with your background combined with the Nitrado experience and your connections, obviously already to the gaming world. You went to something more community management oriented. How would you explain like your journey, where it started, and how did you get here basically to where you are right now?
Oh, well, I studied engineering both in Argentina and Germany. Actually, when we met, I was actually on my way to Sweden. It was 2015. I was still a couple of subjects to do with my degree. I had to do my thesis. It was a kind of a complicated degree because I already did all of my classes. And the only thing I needed to finish my degree was my thesis, which I delayed for a couple of months. And I was actually going to Sweden because I thought, well, I need to learn more about esports. And I had this, this roadmap plan, so to say. Like, I already talked with a lot of people in the industry. I've been to a lot of events. I have already contacts. But I wanted to see, firsthand, but back then, for example, I wanted to go to a DreamHack in Sweden, like by myself, not to watch it online, but be there, talk to the people, and see how everything is. So when we met, it was funny because it was actually the beginning of my esports journey, so to say, when I will go to Sweden and live there for a couple of months, and then go all around to every possible event. I remember at the end of that trip, which was about 2 years, it was like the last event before I joined Twitch. But joining Twitch was like the end of 2 years of discovering the esports industry. I remember I actually came to visit you in Hamburg.
Oh yeah.
I stayed I slept on your
floor.
I slept on your apartment floor
for a week or something, a week and a half or something.
Because I need to make time to fly to Katowice for that year, and I actually said I remember it's like, hey, I will leave my luggage here and I'm bringing my backpack to Katowice, and I had to find a flight and stuff. Was really funny. In those 2 years, I been to the every possible event from World Championship to DreamHack in Vegas. I've seen how the fighting games community work. I learned a lot about back then it was the LCS EU. I got to go to Berlin. Talk with a lot of players and teams. Back then I don't know if they still do it. They had this place where all players went to go for. It was like a 24/7 breakfast place called Benedict.
Oh, of course it still exists, and it's still as popular as ever. Like everybody goes there at some point. Still, that's the funniest thing ever. I have yet to go there.
You haven't been there yet?
No, every time people went to Benedict's, I was already on my way out of the night out. Like when people went out and we actually would go end up at Benedict's, I would always leave an hour earlier or something, or not be going out at all. And then I would wake up to oh yeah, everybody went to Benedict's again. But I have yet to go there.
No, it was actually very funny because you see, I actually went to the first time I went to the LCS EU was also at the end of the when I I think a couple of months living in Berlin, staying with a friend from Argentina who was living there. This was actually, if I recall correctly, this was after Katowice. And the funny part was like, you go to I went to the LCS, and it was a very important game where Giants, when they were still in the LCS.
That's so old, man.
They lost a very important match to an Oriana that got bugged, and they had to redo the match, and then they lost. It was like that day. I think the broadcast ended at like 1 a.m. or something.
Oh yeah.
It was like crazy.
I remember that. Yeah.
And right after, everyone was very pissed, and everyone left. And then I went to Benedict for the first time, and then you see, how the players are actually, like that was the first time I met players outside of the gaming environment. It was really nice to see like how they were like interacting with each other, like people from different teams. They were like friends who they play in the league and they're rivals in the league, but they're actually quite good friends with each other. It was quite an interesting thing to see. Now, of course, like the LCS it's a very peculiar environment, because you have a league that is it's like played physically in a place every week, so everyone has to either live in Berlin, or you have now teams that go to Berlin every time they have to play, but they interact a lot.
Yeah,
they're not like it's not like an online CS:GO league where everyone plays from their house, and then you meet for the tournaments, and also quite a few of the players are actually quite young. I think it was like at the time 27, and I got to meet people that were like 17, 18.
Yeah, it's still the average. Like the average player is still 18 to 22. Like, no, like there are a few more older now. Like you can definitely see still a few veterans still hanging around the 25, 26, but the overall majority is like below 20.
And then of course you have you have players that now are like the older guys who have been there forever. Which is also like it's quite nice to see, like it's already 10 years of League of Legends. This should be year 11.
Yeah,
and you see people who are still somehow related to the game after 10 years, which is quite crazy.
Yeah, no, it definitely is.
Some of them, Carlos Ocelote, owning a team, or others being coaches in other teams. Just it's quite nice to see how everything, at least in the LoL scene, developed this last decade.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I mean, we basically also know each other because of that, right? Because you knew me because of League of Legends. So it's crazy to see, like, when you say it like that, because I'm now, again, back not only in, like, I was to impress mostly, but now I'm also working with a team again. And seeing how it changed from the time I was a coach to now, it's like miles different. And along the fact that someone asked me that relatively recently, do you regret not staying a coach? Because I think you would be earning so much more money than you're doing right now. And I'm like, well, yes, but that's what happens, I guess, when things get more developed. And I mean, obviously, like you said, this was more towards the end of your journey, where you like not only saw things from the ground up being evolved, but also that meant that you saw like how careers in esports change, how the different places developed in a different pace. And also, like, since you work obviously very deeply with South America and Europe, you have like two, also like me, like two completely different perspectives on what esports can look like, and what people are earning with that, what people are doing, and how the overall scene is developing over the time. And so let's get back a little bit into the journey. What is your conclusion of it? What did you actually take from that whole 2-year journey?
Well, I mean, like, before actually I did this, I started this journey, which started kind of, I think it was like November 2015 when we met.
Yeah, 2015, October 2015.
Like a month before that, I gave this TEDx talk at my local TEDx event about, how it's actually quite fun because recently we had this Joe Rogan controversy where they got a clip out of context where he said like video games are a waste of time. Yeah. And my TEDx talk was like everything was based on how I did not waste my time through video games, how I learned so many things and got to know so many cool people like you. Like basically we met through video games. Yeah. Also through our interest. Yeah. About video games. But then I knew a lot from seeing, but not from experiencing it myself. For example, that there's a lot of things I actually learned by being in Sweden and seeing, like, for example, like little kids that were like 7 or 8 years old. I'm talking about 2015 at this time, like 5 years ago. So 7, 8-year-olds with an NIP or a Fnatic jersey when Fnatic was still good at CSGO. They were the best team in the world.
Man, I feel so old now.
I know, like, and for me, like, look at these kids in the DreamHack, 7, 8 years old, watching CSGO and being so engaged, and they were with their parents. Actually, no, like, it was really funny to see like a mom carrying the case, like the PC case for a kid, because the case was bigger than him. Like he couldn't carry it himself. Yeah. So his mom was carrying the case to the LAN party, and he left the kid there for a weekend with friends, where they're gonna drink a lot of soda and eat a lot of junk food, and then and watch Counter-Strike. And I was like, I got to ask his parents, back at home, back in Argentina, this wouldn't happen. Like
never.
An 8-year-old, like being passionate about CS:GO, maybe, but parents would not allow this. Yeah. Or at that time, they wouldn't. And then, they were like quite, they were quite welcoming because they saw the social aspect of this. Like how the kids that go to DreamHack, most of them, they know each other from online. They don't know each other from like living in the same city. No, like Sweden is quite a big country, and there's people from the west and people from the north and people from the south. They all go to DreamHack and get the table all together, and then they get to meet personally the gaming event. And that his parents already understood this way before everyone else. Like right now, like after Fortnite and everything that happened, I think parents or society in general are a bit more welcoming than 5 years ago.
100%.
But it was very, for me, like it was very eye-opening to see a society that was already there, and but mostly that, like you see, for example, Argentina now, the gaming scene and with esports and everything. We are now still at this time where they write esports with a capital S. So we're still a couple of years behind.
Well, but in that case, Germany officially called it capital S Sports. So and you cannot do anything about it, anyways. because like that's how they got it politically correct through here. So
yeah,
it sucks.
Like, more than a grammatical sense. I mean it, like we are not yet that developed in a way like it's like it's starting to change, but we're still so far away.
Yeah.
But the good thing that we have now here, like people like me, like it's not only me, like there's a lot of people in the Argentinian scene that had the opportunity or took the risk, like this 2 years journey that I did. It was 2 years where I had to travel a lot, sleep in couches, and see how I I don't know. I want to know
yourself,
how the South. It's like I want to know how the South Korean gaming house work. Like, why is there gaming houses? And for example, that realization in Seoul on why gaming houses actually exist. Like, for example, for us in Argentina, they were a way like, we need a gaming house because that way we can play better. And then you go to Sweden, where all the players in the top CS:GO teams, they don't have a gaming house. Like, they're 27, they live with their girlfriends, and they don't want to go back with living with 4 dudes.
Yeah.
And then you realize, well, in Korea, it's not really. I mean, I thought, okay, I go there and I will see, Faker. Okay, Faker is a big guy, but like he's famous. But you don't. I thought like top esport players would be way more famous than they are. And you see that even there, gaming is not yet, or was not then back then, that accepted.
Yeah.
And a lot of parents wouldn't allow the kids to play video games. So the gaming house was a way for them to actually get to play. And I don't know, like just all this knowledge that people like me, like there's a couple more that are big people who traveled a lot and got to see this. Now we, for example, for 9C, if because we already seen like how everyone in the world fucked up at least once. What happened when they tried to do this, what happened when they tried to do this. Instead of being like 5 years like behind Europe, we might be just 2 years, because all we already learned from the problems that teams did or teams had in the past.
Yeah.
I don't think about any like problem right now, but it has been quite a few. For example, like finding sponsors, or how to sell, how to sell the value of a team or the players. Or for example, like right now, teams like last year and a half, a lot of teams have started to get streamers or content creators for the team. So besides being super good at esports, they're also very good at branding and promoting the team's brand. G2 got creators and Cloud9 got creators. And for example, 9C, the first thing they did when they started from the ground up is, okay, we're gonna be an esports team, but we're gonna have a lot of we're gonna have our players make content, because that's actually also important. It's also something we need to do. So instead of waiting, a couple of years to get there, we already started with that idea from the ground up.
Yeah, but this is like in general still a concept that a lot of people are not understanding. I think from what I see here, what's going on in Europe and obviously in Brazil, there are obviously a few examples that are super good at this, right? They understand, okay, we are a brand first, then we have everything else, right? So yeah, for example, your G2s and your 100 Thieves, where this is our brand, we're gonna push it to the limit through apparel, through creators, through personalities, through to the teams we sign and work with, through how we market ourselves, how we present ourselves in social media and stuff like that. And they're doing a great job, right? And then you have other teams that are not doing that well. And obviously they still struggle to understand what should we do? And I mean, like for this time, I've been working with obviously Schalke and being in the content team and seeing as well, like what are the problems why they are not doing that? Is like lack of knowledge, lack of time, lack of money, lack of people, and looking at what we do in our small capacities, because the content team is literally 3 people, and I see like us getting a lot more done and in better quality than a lot of other teams with 10 times the power. I question myself sometimes, like, where's the lag? I think, like, so far, like, as I mentioned, like, certain people are starting from the ground up with certain things. I think a lot of people are still learning, and they're still catching up to the, what I would say should be by now the standard, because we have prime examples in Fnatic, G2, Cloud9, Team Liquid, and 100 Thieves on how to do it, technically speaking. And now it's about us rather and try, like, first follow their footsteps and create a base, and then with the foundation, once it's set in stone, get creative to who are we, who is this brand. And I think a lot of teams still struggle with that, just alone for the lack of expertise, I would say. And I would say like that a lot of teams obviously don't have the right people in the right places to do so. Like I think this is something that you have to I think you did a quite good example. You have to see it in order to understand why there's something happening. And if you are just in front of your PC looking at Twitter, which I think most of us did at some point when we first joined esports, lack still this perspective, because esports in this weird space right now where the money has arrived, the quality is arriving, the teams are setting like where we should go as an industry, but like this is like the top 10% that is carrying the benefits, while the other 90% are still like either finding their foot, finding their space, or still learning on how to get to this 10% and broaden up this 10%, in my opinion. And over the years, as you mentioned, like we're still betting with acceptance, not only monetary issues, how do we monetize things, how do we actually make money either as a org or a third party content creator or sites or whatever there may be. We're still struggling on a lot of spaces, on the most important ones as well. So I mean, it's been quite a journey since we started, right? I mean, imagine like 5 years ago, were you actually earning money with esports? Because despite of me being coaching on a professional level, I earned like peanuts compared. Like for a 19-year-old, hey, I'm making money in video games, cool. But like looking at it right now, wow. Yeah, let's not go back to those times, because you ended up like working a lot more for nothing than you luckily do nowadays.
No, I have to be honest about this. Like the 2 years I was doing this, what I call this esport journey, I was like working remotely for the company, not making huge money, just like getting by. And getting jigs there and there, but the whole learning didn't get me any money. Like the first esports money I actually made was Twitch, well, not really esports, was more like in the industry, so to say. And I think a lot of people, they think they have to make their place by working hard and maybe, working without a paycheck, which I don't think per se is bad. Like if you need to learn the ropes, the best way to do it is volunteer.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying volunteer don't volunteer as a senior partnership manager, but if you're like 14 and you want to see the backstage of a DreamHack, volunteer to be a DreamHack, helper, and start getting your contacts, and putting yourself in places, like for example, one of the best experiences I had, where I got to meet a lot of really interesting people in Sweden, was when I was writing for this Argentinian gaming website. And they got me the press pass to go to DreamHack and go to the backstages of DreamHack and hang around where the players were, where the teams were, where I could, sit down on a table, and share a pizza or food with players from NIP, and then you get to know the team leader, and then you get to know the manager, and then you get to ask the questions, for example, hey, what do you guys do with the prices? Like, who keeps the prices? We have this deal which is so much is kept by the players, so much is kept by the organization. Putting yourself there will help you in the long term. Yeah. Now, of course, since you're not getting paid, you shouldn't be spending 40 hours a week doing that. You shouldn't be your main jig. But something part-time while you're learning the ropes, I think it's something we should all do. And for example, in your case, besides your interest in esports and coaching and everything, you already knew that you were studying you were in film school to be a director. So you could help people doing photography and videography, and those are things that that was actually needed.
Yeah, it's still is.
And I guess those skills actually put you in places where you got to meet people and do cool stuff, right?
Yeah, obviously, what I think helped me the most and still does is when people ask about my background and say I used to coach professional League of Legends, and this has just a prestige to its name because everybody knows League, and if you talk about anyone what you did before you're doing what you're doing right now and ask why do you understand actually so much about the esports and how teams work, well, I kind of did this for this amount of time and then I stopped because I had other goals in my life, and this is always a good thing because one of the things I miss obviously the most was competing, and as a competitive person and I coached professionally for 3 years, you kind of miss the thrill of if I win this, I'm gonna get to whatever tournament and this is gonna be amazing, and you just want to keep winning and you want to keep competing because you will have to prove to yourself that you're still the best. And I kind of miss this, and this was one of the reasons I ended up joining the Smash community here in Germany, was first to compete, but I kind of realized how things were, and that if I don't help them out, we're not gonna have a community right now. We didn't have locals in where I lived, so I had luckily a few contacts here and there that helped us get to host locals there, and it's amazing. But also at the same time, it helped me now when I do the videos for Schalke, when I talk to the players, it's much easier for me to understand how to talk to them than maybe someone that never worked with a pro player before, right? Because I used to do this on a daily basis, 14 hours or more a day, and I was that crazy. And for example, for me, it's so fun that I can, if they're having scrims that I have 5 or 10 minutes, I just sit there and watch the scrims as well, and I kind of knows how much I still understand about the game. It's for me this was for me the most important experience that I did in esports. Just go all in, keep doing this until don't feel like doing it, because this brought me to places. For example, without that, I won't have a Twitch partnership. For example, I wouldn't have become a content creator in League of Legends. With that, I wouldn't have become an analyst for various websites. I wouldn't have been able to go to this event because I wouldn't have met those people. So it's in the end, as you mentioned, putting yourself out there, and it definitely helps. So I wouldn't regret it for a bit, because every person or every journey I had along the way, definitely gave me something that I'm still using right now, and I'm still learning. Obviously, I'm still in the beginning of my journey, so to say, because now I'm doing what I wanted to do from the beginning, filmmaking, and now I'm currently also in my first year of full-time freelancing. Sucks that all the events got cancelled, obviously, but like you get creative when situations happen, and I got lucky because I had those contacts that I could find other jobs than I would have done, and so obviously not only getting the knowledge but also meeting people, and the networking part is definitely more important than maybe that €100 more a month. So like that's definitely a case, but obviously we talked about this when looking what to talk about in this podcast. The last few days there was a tweet about like before entering esports, just know that it's going to be a 7 days a week 24/7 job. Like don't enter if you don't enjoy it, if you're not passionate about it. I'm gonna actually look up the tweet so I just phrase it completely right, because it blew up, obviously, because it's a controversial take, and I think everybody that is currently working in esports either is still doing something like that or did it something like that at some point in time in the past few years, and everybody has a take on it. So it was the tweet from Drake Lucky. My advice for anyone who wants a job in esports gaming streaming: ditch the whole Monday to Friday mentality. It's a full-time, 7 days a week job, which means you gotta freaking love it and you're gonna lose your mind at times. I'm cheering for you. So, what I think he means, before we get into a discussion, I think he means like there will be times where you have to do more than you want. There will be times where, despite your contract saying you do a 40-hour week, you're gonna have to do 60. And you're gonna have to work Sundays, you're gonna have to work Saturdays. There will not be certain times of stability, or let's say a fixed time frame where you're gonna work. Sometimes you work on Saturday, sometimes you don't work on Monday, sometimes you work on that Monday, but also then you don't work on Wednesday. Like, this can happen, and like it's gonna be a hard time, it's gonna be a difficult time, and obviously if you don't like it and if you don't love it, you're not gonna make it true. Literally, like, you're gonna stop at some point loving it and you just not do it anymore, which is what I think he means. What he says, though, is slightly a bit more controversial, and so I think like I'm gonna throw it to you first. What is your take on the whole topic, on the 7 days a week job? You have to love it, because otherwise you might struggle.
So this is something that happened to me while I was working at Twitch, and it happened to be actually the 2 years I was there. And I realized first when I left Twitch, I've been on Twitch since 2008. My account is very old, and when I was doing other things, I would come home and watch Twitch. Watch esports or streams from random people, and when you're doing something, for example, for me, I was very passionate about Twitch, not really about the company Twitch, but Twitch community and the values of the community and everything. And of course, like if somebody send me a request, like, hey, I have a Twitch partner, hey, I need something on a Saturday at 7 p.m. through a Twitter DM, for example. There were times where I was not instantly answering, but most of the times I'm already at the PC. I can help him. When like maybe when you're doing something that's like more like a job, not like a passion, you might be like, okay, it's already 5 p.m. Friday, see you on Monday.
Yeah.
And like nobody expected me to answer emails on Saturday or Sunday. It was something that came from me. Like it came from my inner me being okay, this is my passion, and I want to I want to see this grow. And I think that's something a lot of people working in esports mostly, at the beginning of the whole thing, like when nobody took us seriously. Do you remember when they didn't take us seriously?
Oh,
when they were like, oh, why are you guys playing video games? This has no future, or it was something like we like to do. We like to play CS:GO or CS 1.6. To compete, to go to events, to scream, to see stuff happening, and they all call us crazy. It was like, why are you enjoying this? And back then, I guess what I see from other people is like they put the extra hours because they really care that their parents or their friends would not think they're crazy, right?
Yeah.
And I think the tweet went more he meant it more that way. Like if you're in the esports industry, or how it has been until now, it was a lot of being this passion project where you're gonna be spending most of your time or your free time, sacrificing your free time to see this objective grow. Now that we are a bit more advanced, I can definitely tell you, there's probably a guy doing accountings or legal at DreamHack who doesn't care about the esports.
Yeah.
He's there or she's there because they need a finance person, and they need an accountant, or they need somebody booking tickets. It's not all it's not everyone super passionate about esports. The same at Twitch. There was a lot of people at Twitch who did for me it was quite shocking. Because I was there for because I really cared, and there were people joining that didn't know what Kappa was or PogChamp, and you think hey, you work at Twitch, how don't you know? Or for example, for me, when I got my Twitch hoodie with my name, it meant a huge thing. Hey, I have a Twitch hoodie with my name, and then you would see other people, the people doing finance or even salespeople. They were like, oh, I didn't know they had purple hoodies, and you think that's crazy, but that's also a sign that things grow, and you will start needing things that maybe you didn't before. You had the people organizing the tournament, and maybe you had the guy who was doing sound design or the lights for the stage. There were people that were interested in esports.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you can just get any. Maybe that the person who does your lights is somebody who just do theater, or something like that. And I think the tweet went, like I said there, to this core thing of we're doing this because we want to see things grow, and we're gonna sacrifice our free time for the end goal of seeing esports being recognized for what they should be. Now, of course, nobody wants to burn out. Nobody wants to. I saw that. I think Effie was answering every tweet, being like, I suffered burnout, and what it does, because she's been one of the people who. I think she's been one of those who worked the most out of everyone to see this. She's been here forever, so to say.
Yeah.
And I understand when she says nobody wants to be burnt out and stuff like that. But I don't think the tweet went that way. I really think it came from a genuine, be ready to spend the extra hours because we all did this to get here, and you need to be if you're here for the money, it's not you're not going to enjoy it as much as if you really want to see esports grow.
Yeah, I think the most important fact that I think this tweet was mentioning is about the time aspect, and as I mentioned, the passion you put in there, because obviously you can do a 9 to 5, 7 days a week job in esports. I've seen it. I had also days where I was like, nope, I'm gonna not do work after 6 because I want to do this thing, or I just wanted to relax. I want to do nothing. And even today is a off day for me, and I'm not doing anything particular. I'm just like, oh, message Seba. Hey, Seba, I happen to have some time tomorrow. Want to do a podcast? Because you have to do sometimes like something for yourself, or you just need to sometimes relax. Or even like if you're a freelancer like me, you have to do other stuff to get by. Like it's not that you're doing like only esports maybe, or you have to do accounting yourself, or you have to do whatever to your ends meet. And for example, like I come off a month where I literally had no day off, because the off days I would technically have I spent doing a passion project, and that was it. So I was like 45-50 days on roll working, and the moment I could like literally say fuck it, I'm gonna take some time off, I took it, because it's necessary. And it's gonna be times, I think, in esports, even more for example right now for me, it's still LEC season, we're in the end of the summer split, and I'm doing other stuff with other clients, and when this comes together, like you don't have time, because when it's go time, even if your employer or your contract says you work this amount of time hours, or you should take this day off, there will be times where you'll have to kind of be flexible when your time off is. And there might be a week where you have to say like, yeah, okay, I cannot take this day off, but for that you get in 2 weeks later 2 days off, because you happen to have to react there to something, or you have to take over something, because things happen, and things have to happen fast, because it's a social media driven world. So things happen in a time where like you have to react to things when you wouldn't want to, basically. So when you're looking at how do we structurize content, for example, sometimes you're like, yeah, we should do this and this and then there, because this would be for me the best way to plan it around. But as often 2 days earlier, well, we have to shift it. 1 day earlier, we have to shift it, either push back, or we have to adapt to something that happened, and this is normal. So sometimes you're gonna have to be working like 7 days a week without a break. Sometimes you don't. And I mean, if you want to obviously to make it grow, you should never do something for the money, because if you're doing something for the money, you should always question yourself why you need to do this, because then you're not doing something for yourself. Because like this is the most dangerous thing, and as I mentioned, burnout is a realistic thing that happens with a lot of people, and why you should obviously take care of yourself and know when you need to do a break and when you need to keep hustling. But as well, like if you're only doing something for the money, you should definitely question if this is what you're wanting to do, because while there is money in esports, not like except for players, I don't think anyone else is still earning 100% what they are worth.
I mean, how can I put this in a way that I don't like shit on anyone, but you know, I think, you know, like let's see, how can I put it? There's a line from a song in a musical that I enjoy a lot, that says, everybody's got a job and everybody's got a dream.
Yeah.
And it's about the song is about how a lot of people in a Latino neighborhood in New York, they were doing, 9-to-5 jobs, but they wanted to, go to the world, make their own company, move downtown. They had all these projects that they wanted to build, but in order to accomplish them, they needed to do something else to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And I think when you move your work to where your dream is or your passion is, then you either need another dream or another thing that keeps you like sane. Because if not, like if you're living your dream, then you're not gonna, because you're enjoying what you do, right?
Yeah.
And this is like, this is everything I've been wanting to do, and I'm not now here, and now I shouldn't let it go. I shouldn't let it, flop. So, well, if I need to spend more time doing it, I'll do it. And it's very hard to acknowledge. And it's like, but this is what I've been working for all these years, and this was my dream, and I shouldn't be complaining about I'm working too hard.
Yeah.
And when you're in the game, like it happened to me, and I think it happens to a lot of people. Like even to content creators, like YouTubers, when they get in the algorithm game, and they need to know, I'm at the high point of the wave. I have to stay here, so I'm gonna work, and then it happened to everyone. The small creators up to PewDiePie, they all felt the burnout.
Yeah.
Just because they are there. It's like, this is what I wanted, right? And I shouldn't let it go. And I think now that at esports, or the industry itself, we've been like the topics of mental health and started being more of a casual topic, not a taboo. And teams, for example, even I see it even here in Argentina, with 9C, they have a team psychologist who is a guy who, actually it's a girl, I think. They changed it. But, it's not really somebody who knows esports.
Yeah.
So, like, they know psychology, and they know that they can get high-performing teams to stay high performance without feeling burnout. And all these, new additions to the industry that we didn't have maybe 5 years ago or 10 years ago, because people kind of forget that esports is not new. Like everyone is like, League of Legends, and it's like, no. You can go way back to Quake tournaments where the prize pool was Ferrari, or Unreal tournament with CPLs and Fatality and Stermy and all these guys. And back then, like the OGs, they didn't have like anything. They didn't have social media, so it was even hard for them to market themselves. Now, I think because like this conversation about the dangers of burnout and not knowing when to take a break, or this desire of really making it no matter the cost, is helping to build like this is helping teams be like, hey, so we want to start a team. We have to already think about this non-gaming stuff, so to say. Like we need a coach, we need a team manager, but we actually might need somebody, like a nutritionist, so the players can eat well. We might need, a personal trainer, so the players actually don't sit around all day.
Yeah.
That 5 years ago, like I'm pretty sure KLG didn't have this kind of things.
No.
But
no.
And it's like we cannot really be like, in retrospect, we cannot be like, these Surus didn't have this when they started. So no, it's like
it's a learning curve, right?
We didn't know that we needed it.
Also, we didn't have also the resources. Yeah, like it was a combination of not having resources and not knowing, right? Like, as I say, as a part of the process, like I didn't know 2 years ago that oh yeah, actually I need a day off to be able to put in the work. Or if I want to do project A, I need 3 days of preparation. I wouldn't know that. After doing it a couple of times, I know it, right? I mean, like, in general, what I think is a good summary of the whole topic is, while you can earn decently, like, I would say, like, overall, nowadays, most of people are earning a decent or to a good money in esports. I don't think, like, people are, like, starving in general anymore, as a lot of us did back in the days. I think wages went up a lot better, and a lot of, like, if you're, except for journalism, which is a totally different topic, I think it's a lot more stable now, and a lot of money came in and are staying in, which is more important. And sure, there will be jobs that will require you to do 5 or 7 days a week, but there are also, like, as I mentioned, like the part of the progress where, like, is this your passion or not? Because if it's your passion, obviously you will work 7 days a week because you love it so much. Like for you, even for me sometimes, it's, yeah, I'm gonna take that extra day effort just to make it better, right? While when it's a job, and you think, is it worth for me to put that 1 day extra? Am I getting really something out of it? Am I getting paid for it? Is it worth the 2 hours more effort? Like, you put things in a different perspective. And I mean, I think I can say a lot. Like, I love the clients I have right now. I am having a good time, but obviously, I have other goals that I want to do on the side, right? For example, like I had to take some time to do a music video this month, which I was very passionate about, and like, for everyone was like, yeah, fine, you're doing another project, so we just don't count on you. When will you be back? Basically like that. And I think this is something that people have to just keep in mind when talking about how much time you're putting into something. It's also how much you might get back, and how fast you're gonna get it back, rather than if you're gonna get it back. Because, like, if you put in 7 days a week time for a year, you're gonna get definitely faster to your goal or desired result than if you will do obviously 5. But, and that's the danger, and now that we know, I think we both experienced it as well a couple of times, if you overdo it and you don't take care of yourself, you just burn out. And instead of, like, being able to put in perspective, like, the amount of work you put in this, like, 3 months hard grinding, you could have put into a year of work and not burn out and have the same result by the end of the year. Because since you burned out, you wasted a lot more time, because you had to then rest for a longer time, you were unproductive for a longer time. So I think this is what people nowadays take a lot more care of, because they know better, as you mentioned. And I think from experience, like, also it's not only about, like, the money, time, but also, like, sometimes it doesn't need to put in that 1 day of extra work to get the result, and you just, like, respect it and accept it for what it is. Like, sometimes you just have to get it done in a certain amount of time, sometimes you don't, and you just, like, choose which one is worth the effort, or worth the stress, I would rather say. Because certain things, they can wait a day. Certain things they cannot. And in a fast-paced industry, which we are right now, you have more often than not those days where you kind of have to take the extra days amount, because it has to be done on Monday, and it has to be ready on Monday, but you only got to know about it Friday night, right? So yeah. I mean, like, it happens. It's not that you can say to your boss, like, it's not necessarily his decision that it has to be done by Monday, right? Also, like, if you're working with a client and the client says, yeah, well, guys, we need to react to this, and, like, there will be times, obviously, where I have to say, like, sorry, I cannot, I'm doing this other thing. I can propose this, or, like, something came in the way and I cannot be there for this amount of time, and you have to find a solution. But if you're full-time employed in a company in this situation, you have to do it. It's simply as that. Because if you don't do it, nobody will do it. And it has to get done. So it's not an optimal situation to be in, but sometimes it has to be that way. And you have to know if that's worth, and you even I think if not every CEO or boss of a company will very lighthearted say, yeah, you have to do this. But if there's something too big on the line to lose it, you have to understand that he cannot say to you can choose. Because otherwise there will be a situation where the employer will just say yeah, then not, obviously, because he wants to chill that Sunday evening and not do anything, which would be totally fair. But in the end, if something has to get done, even how much it sucks, sometimes it is that way. And it's hard to generalize, and I feel this tweet has the problem that since it's so compact, it generalizes a lot, that people would take it differently in every aspect. So in the end, to cut things short and short that sentence, yes, esports can be that full-time 7 days a week job, but it doesn't need to be. And when it is, it doesn't need to be on the cost of your mental health, and it doesn't need to be on the cost of your salary. There will be times where you can do more for less money. There will be times where you can take the toll on your mental if you have to get something done, but there will be times where you don't. So it's more about you understanding that there will be times for everything. There will be periods of times where you have to hustle and some you don't, and really understand that your body and your mental will need the time off. Otherwise you'll go crazy and you're gonna be having to deal with a lot more.
Yeah, and something I read in one of the tweets related to this topic. It's something Elon Musk said in an interview. Well, at least that's what the tweet said. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But he said you don't change the world working 40 hours a week. And then I saw everyone, at least to Elon Musk, they were quite shocking. Quite shocked. I mean, hey, this is not healthy. You shouldn't do it. And we can really go back and see why the 40-hour week actually is like that. Why the 8-hour working working time is like that. It has nothing to do with employee satisfaction or anything. You can read about that. It's actually a funny story. But what I want to say is, when you want to change the world, and your objective is, I want to see this through, you are gonna, sleep 7 hours instead of 8, and try to make it. And if that's what you really, really want to do, it's at the end, you might be, you might do it. You might be doing these things just without realizing it.
Yeah.
And the big thing is I know people who've done it, and we should be really grateful about that. And I'm not saying nowadays, I'm saying, Fatality back in the day, he definitely worked 80 hours weeks.
Just to make ends meet.
The OGs everywhere, the OG, I'm like saying OG, but the big journalists right now, Thorin or Richard Lewis. I mean, I'm pretty sure they didn't complain after all. I already worked 8 hours today. They were no, I need to, we need to push this forward. We're gonna do everything we can to grow this. And probably also people at ESL at the very beginning, people at DreamHack at the very beginning. I'm pretty sure called Carlos right now, Ocelote. Ask him
still
how much he worked last week. Huh? He's not gonna tell you I worked 40 hours.
No.
He probably tweets 40 hours a week. But I think we should be somehow. We should know our limits, because also, like, when you mentioned like how old you are now, I realized, like, I was older than you when I started my journey.
Yeah.
Like, I was 25 when I started. You're 24 now.
Yeah.
You know, so when you're like my age, in 6 years, when you're 30, you will have been so much further in your journey than I was at 30. You know, and I know, for example, when I was 19, 20, I could easily do the 10-hour days. I could easily sleep 6 hours a day and still being functional and still, achieving things, like what they call this hustle culture. Now with 30, I need my 8 hours. I cannot do it anymore. Like if you ask, like, sleeping on the floor in your apartment before going to Katowice, I might not do it anymore, because I might wake up with a broken back or something.
Yeah.
Just because I'm old. So I think, I do think it's a personal choice if you're gonna do it or not, but you should be aware of the risk and the consequences. Yeah. And although there's people in the world that work much harder and much more time than others, and I mentioned Elon Musk. I'm pretty sure Elon Musk doesn't work 40-hour weeks. And we should be grateful, because those people who are overworking themselves, they are changing the world, and we should be lending hands to all of these people, being like, hey, being grateful about it.
Yeah.
I don't think we're doing it enough in this industry.
Yeah, no, I think it's just obviously I don't know who Jake Lucy exactly is, but I mean, he might also just be at the start of his journey, right? Like what I did 2 or 3 years ago, I didn't know. Obviously, now I know better. And also I also just have more experience knowing, okay, if I do 5 days a week, 16-hour to 18-hour days, I can do it for a week, and after that, the next week I'm not going to be as productive, right? So how to schedule better. For example, as you mentioned, I'm not sure if I would do it either, to travel, sleep on couches and floors every time, just because I know I would be less productive if I would do this for a month. Also, there will be a time where I think I don't care, because I'm just there to hang out and have fun, right? I'm not excited to go to fancy hotels, or I don't need necessarily that 2 hours of quality sleep more to get through the day. But when this hits for me, because I was when I lived in Hamburg and I was studying, obviously I had less money than I have now, and when you have that bit more money, you think to yourself, how much is time worth the money I make right now? And I had a few jobs where it went into late nights, and in Berlin's huge, right? And I was in the center of Berlin. I live a little bit more to the outside, and it's a 45 to 60 minute way back after 1 a.m. depending on schedules of the night buses. And I was like, okay, do I pay the 15 euros Uber, or do I actually take the hour less sleep? I chose the Uber, because that's an hour more sleep that I get, and I need that 1 hour more sleep to be able to be better and more productive in the next day. So, I mean, if you would have asked me this a year ago, I would say, no, man, I don't want to pay that 20 euros Uber to my house, because I want that for my next meal, for example. Things like that. And it's normal. I think this comes with age. I think that comes with experience. And also, this comes obviously with being able to afford those things. And you have to just put your priorities in order, I guess. because this is something that you learn along the years, and you have to prioritize what is more important to you. And there will be times also where I'm gonna sleep on the floor. There will be times where I have a friend that earns more money than me, that he will be sleeping a week on my floor because he doesn't want to get a hotel. So I mean, there's no excuse why you shouldn't do it. It's just like, if you want to, you can do it. If not, you don't need to, kind of thing. No, but that's crazy, man. I remember way too well, man. You were like, first, you didn't plan on being on my floor that week. You had actually a friend with an extra room, with a couch that you could have, but that person bailed on you like one day before you were actually going to Hamburg. And you called me like, hey, do you still have time and place for me to sleep? And I was like, yeah, but you know how small my room is. I mean, I don't care. There's just this one thing, like my room was super small.
Back in the day was like the only thing. Now it's a nice memory that we can laugh on.
Yeah, like,
and, you know, like in 10 years, you know, when we are at the top, we're gonna be like, oh, remember that time before Katowice?
Dude, like this is actually like, this is so funny because like you were, I think, one of the few last people that slept when I was there, because in the same house in the beginning of last year, I moved to the part downstairs, and I had like actually a huge room. I had the biggest room in the house then, and I actually had a spare mattress for people when they come over. And this was such a nice upgrade, which I don't have anymore. Because my room is a bit smaller now, but it has actually now space that I can, not only someone could sleep on the floor, but actually people can walk when sleeping on the floor. And I still have like basically an office space here where I'm sitting right now, which you can see. And then I have a place for my bed, and then I actually have a small living room / kitchen, and a much better place to be. But just about like, if you have this and that's what you need to do to probably make it, then that's what it is, right? I mean, I'm not necessarily here because I wanted to, but this was the best place I could find for the money I could pay as well. And also, like, as a freelancer, finding places in Berlin right now is impossible. I'm just happy I found something that is actually nice. But now that the next time you visit me, I can definitely offer you some better quality of sleeping. Now you can have 2 mattresses on the floor.
That's gonna be a cool thing. The quarantine and the COVID loosens up a bit, so I get to travel again. Yeah.
So let's close out the podcast with a last topic. How much did the work, your work, change because of COVID? Because obviously for me, it changed that I took different jobs than I had planned to in the beginning of this year. I was happy and glad that I could find a team to work with, and also doing creative director work and other work for a production company, for live broadcasting, which would also never be my thing. But it worked out and I have fun with it. How much, like, for me, this is already a 180 turn, right? How much did it change for you in your current employments?
Well, basically, because we were doing so many campaigns, my job focused a lot more, instead of account management of content creators, into actually campaign management. Just basically because there was a lot more money to be spent online than on other media. Thankfully I was already working remotely, so I didn't have an office to go to. So I already knew, I think everyone working remotely knows how to use Slack or Zoom or Google Meet. It was not a big shock for me. Now I see the world around us, man.
Did you see, like, for example, how much the Logitech C920 cost now? Like they were going for 150 euros in Spain.
Oh God.
Because everyone wants the camera, right? And
yeah.
That's like the go-to camera everywhere. And like everyone, like kids who had to go to school, and the teachers didn't know how to, they didn't even know how FaceTime works. And it was quite interesting to see, like, the world around us, like, go to hell because they didn't know how to, use remote tools and stuff like that. And for me, basically it's like, hey, it's business like usual. Maybe my tasks change a bit, but no, there wasn't like a day I said like, oh, I cannot work because I need to be in an office, or I need to have a face-to-face meeting and stuff like that. Thankfully, but I'm very grateful because I through the pandemic, where people are getting they're getting either let go from companies, like laid off, or into furlough and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just got to make even more money than before. It was quite
interesting. Yeah, I can totally understand that, because like the weirdest thing about this whole thing is this would be the 1 year that would actually shift from remote work to more on-site work. This was to be the year I had already 3 Smash events planned, and I had this one podcast tour still going on, and I had a few other things, well, not 100% planned, but in the planning. So I would have had a few jobs where I would have to travel. I'm like, yay, I'm so happy, I made it, I'm gonna be earning some money traveling. And I'm like, wow, shit, this ain't happening anymore in a couple of days. But I totally understand you, like already explaining my girlfriend some things, like how to set this up or how to set this up, is because for us it has always been a part of the job, I would say, like also about the gaming culture in general. Like we obviously know how to set up a webcam, we obviously know how to use Skype and Discord and all those meeting.
I think it has to do with I think it was like the perfect case study to show that we gamers, going back to what I said at the beginning of the podcast, this TEDx talk I gave, one of the examples I gave was like how I used to do raids back in the day with people over a very shitty version of Discord called Ventrilo, which had like seconds of delay. Not milliseconds, like seconds of delay, and have to coordinate that. Like, if I need to do Skype or, work asynchronically with people, like, hey, you do this and I do this and I do this, and then we don't talk for 2 hours, but we're all working on our thing.
Yeah.
But, like, even like League of Legends, like, you go in a game with 4 people that you probably don't know before. And if you don't get to like coordinate, you will lose. Like you just can be a guy that plays very well and everything, but if you start being toxic and not cooperating, you are going to lose.
Yeah.
And I think like gamers, by having this experience over and over again, because you see it in League of Legends and CS:GO and pretty much every esport. Then having to do that outside of the game gets a bit easier,
Yeah, no, obviously. And I mean, like, let's say the shift came towards our way, right? Because most of our work was already online and remote. And now that you mentioned, like, your actual job was to do one thing, and now you had to shift to do more campaign management. And you obviously, like, you knew already how to do the one part, and you had to do this remotely. But what exactly changed for you then there? Because I saw, like, for myself, one of the big aspects why I was requested to do broadcasting was because I had this prior experience, and also have, like, I do a creative work, right, and I know how to work with people. But there wasn't a demand as high as ever like this right now. So what exactly changed for yourself in a detail perspective there?
I think the only thing that changed really, no, because like I said, like I got a hold of it very quickly.
Yeah.
But before maybe I had the chance to I had to work remotely, so I didn't see my colleagues. Like right now, the colleagues I have at streamelements, I know them only from online.
Yeah.
Like one of them works in Germany, the other one is in Spain. Most of them are in Israel.
Mm.
But if I wanted to get out of the house, go to Starbucks for a coffee, I could do it. I didn't need to do it, but I could.
Yeah.
And I could, just like go out and meet people. Through the quarantine, like it was a very severe quarantine here in Argentina. I didn't suffer that much. But because like work-wise, I didn't suffer that much. But just not having the possibility anymore was kind of bad.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
That got me to focus a lot more in work, because it's like when I am in lockdown, I can't go out. I shouldn't just forget about it and do something that you actually can, which in this case was work harder, put in more hours.
Yeah.
I think like the big challenge and the big thing that we're gonna see is after the quarantine is over and everyone comes back to the office, then we're gonna see the results. Like I really think this is gonna shift. Like for example, Twitter already said like they already want to go in a completely digital company thing. Like nobody's gonna be asked to go back to the office.
Yeah.
And streamelements, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it yet, but like there's been discussions of doing the same. Like that you can everyone can work from wherever they want as long as they are productive.
Yeah.
Which I know, for example, companies in San Francisco, they're not going back to the office for the rest of 2020.
Mm.
We still have half of the year to go. I think the post-pandemic world is going to be interesting, even more, in our industry that is still growing.
No, obviously, 100%. And I mean, like, I unfortunately do a profession which is not necessarily possible to do 100% remotely, so which I would be very happy that things keep going this way and things keep getting better, because it keeps my life a little bit easier. But I can totally see that happening, because I don't need to go to every meeting to the office. Sure, if you want to do a 3-hour session, yeah, then do it in person, because then you're going to be obviously more productive. But you can have like 30-minute calls every day and update yourselves on what's going on. You can have like apps and management apps to get through the day. And I can totally see the benefits. And I mean, I think for us, it didn't hit us hard because we already, as I mentioned, used to it, as we work from everywhere, every time when we need to. There was never a requirement to be in set place at set time. The only thing that mattered was in the end which time zone. So I can definitely see this being new, obviously, to the non-gaming industry. But for us, it's just like, yeah, I mean, we're just going less to the office than we were used to. But this is not changing how we work in general, which is interesting. It might also change how we approach events in the future. Like, I had to do events online and remotely from at home again, which was very interesting again. Like, this is something that I haven't done in quite some time. Was very fun, was very chaotic, and obviously had its difficulties, but was fun again. What I'm interesting to see is how events are gonna look like now. Obviously, for the rest of the year, most are still gonna get cancelled, but in Europe, we're starting to to have first events. They're gonna have test concerts to see if we are already there yet. Also, there's a lot of things happening in the industries here that might shift to a more normal life back soon. And obviously, like in Berlin and Germany and Europe, we're in a very different state than other countries, for example, where this is unthinkable until earliest next year. So I'm very interested to see, because like there are a few events that I got asked to do, which I'm still thinking about if I can or should go, because there's obviously still the risk, even though here is much better in a lot of ways. It's so interesting, like how we have to think around the corner. Can I do 1,000 events still? Can I keep it down to 300 or something like that? Do I have space for like 50 or 100 people in a healthy space? Or even like normally going outside is still very interesting. Until how many people it's acceptable to host anything, right? This is going to be the more interesting part for the next 2 years. And also, obviously, how to finance them, because I think a lot of companies will take a hit in advertisement revenues in a bit, or like will definitely think twice before spending out the money. So this is definitely like gonna be the more impact shift. But in general, like I would say, like the industry definitely kept well together. We're just I guess everybody's just playing more games now.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, well, that's about it. I think that's a very good ending point to the work in esports discussion. So, do you have any other story of your journey or your career in esports so far that you want to share to the world?
Not right away. I think we covered the topic quite nicely, and yeah, it's been a good. How long have we been talking to?
About 90 minutes.
Yeah. 90 minutes?
Yeah.
Wow. It went really fast.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it happens like that all the time, right?
Again, Alex, thanks for the invitation. And I'm always glad to talk esports with you, man.
Yeah, next time again with a beer in the hands and on a good sunny day at the Spree. Would be a bit better.
Yes.
But this is something for the future, hopefully. Oh, man.
We definitely need that, for sure.
Yeah. So, guys, I posted the Twitter of this man right there. So make sure to follow him. He's a very friendly guy. If you have questions or just want to chat with him, I think your DMs might still be open. And or if not, just at him, and you're gonna have a good time with this man. As I mentioned, like 5 years we met just due to a random tweet of this guy. We're still hanging out with each other, we're still talking, and we're still keeping connected. And yeah, I mean, even though he's in Argentina right now and I'm in Germany, so and if it wasn't for COVID, we would have met at a random event this year. Now we're gonna have to wait until we both can travel again, until whatever, or there's anything to travel to in the near future. So yeah, so thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe and join the Discord to hang out, ask questions, and obviously ask questions for the next guest that will be on the show, which I'll post on Twitter. So follow me there if you haven't already. So thanks a lot for watching, and see you next time.
Bye.